This video found you. Not in the way that anything finds anything by accident. Not the way an algorithm shuffles content until something lands in front of someone who has 30 seconds to spare. That's not what happened here. What happened here is something your energy field has been working toward for longer than you know. And before this transmission ends, you will understand exactly what that means. Not as a comforting idea, not as a piece of spiritual language designed to make you feel chosen, but as a precise description of how your personal electromagnetic field interacts with the quantum structure of reality to draw specific information, specific encounters, and specific turning points toward itself at the exact moment it becomes coherent enough to receive them. The signal chose you. That's what the thumbnail says. And that's not poetry. That's mechanics. Here is what most people never learn about their own energy field. It does not just radiate outward, it also receives. The same electromagnetic field generated by your heart, the field that broadcasts your frequency to the quantum environment around you, also functions as an antenna. It is simultaneously a transmitter and a receiver. And what it is capable of receiving at any given moment is determined entirely by the coherence of what it is transmitting. A chaotic field receives chaotically. A coherent field receives with precision. And when your field reaches a specific threshold of coherence, something extraordinary happens. The quantum environment stops delivering random noise and starts delivering signal. Targeted, specific, resonant signal. The kind that feels like it was meant for you. Because at the level of quantum mechanics, it was. You are at that threshold right now. That's why this found you. And today, I am going to show you the full mechanics of how that works. Not the surface version, the real version. The version that explains why some people seem to be in the right place at the right time over and over again, while others, equally intelligent, equally deserving, equally good, seem to keep missing what was almost within reach. The difference is not luck. The difference is not karma in the mystical sense. The difference is field coherence, and it is measurable, reproducible, and yours to activate consciously the moment you understand what's actually happening. So let's begin at the beginning, not your beginning. The beginning of the signal itself. There is a field that surrounds you right now. It extends approximately 4 to 5 feet beyond the surface of your body in every direction. It is generated primarily by your heart, which produces an electromagnetic field roughly 5,000 times stronger in magnetic amplitude than the field produced by your brain. This is not a metaphor. This is a measurement. The HeartMath Institute, in decades of peer-reviewed research, has documented this field precisely. They have measured it with magnetometers. They have mapped its toroidal shape, meaning it flows outward from your heart, curves around your body, and returns back through the center in a continuous, self-sustaining loop. They have demonstrated that this field carries information, specifically information about your emotional state, your nervous system's coherence level, and the patterns of your inner life. And they have shown that this field is detectable by other people's nervous systems and even by other people's heart fields. Not consciously, not as a thought, but as a direct physiological response. Someone can walk into the room where you are sitting, and their own heart rate will begin to entrain toward yours. Their nervous system will register your field before a single word is spoken, before eye contact is made, before any social signal is exchanged. You have been broadcasting this whole time. Every moment of every day, your heart has been generating a field that carries your actual frequency, not the frequency you perform, not the frequency you wish you were at, but the frequency you actually inhabit. And that field has been reaching everyone and everything around you, shaping what approaches you and what turns away, what opens and what closes, what assembles around your life and what dissolves before it can reach you. Most of that broadcasting has been unconscious. Most people never learn this is happening. They walk through their lives, generating a field they can't see, transmitting a signal they never chose, and then wondering why certain patterns keep repeating, why certain doors keep closing, why certain people keep appearing and others never do, why certain opportunities seem to materialize for some people and evaporate for others. The answer is always in the field. But here is what changes today. Here is the shift that this transmission is designed to initiate in your energy field specifically, because there is a difference, a profound and measurable difference between a field that is broadcasting unconsciously and a field that has become aware of itself. The moment you understand what your aura is doing, the moment you can feel it, track it, and consciously influence its coherence, the broadcast changes. Not because you forced it, not because you performed a different emotion, but because awareness itself is a coherence event. The act of turning attention toward your own field with genuine curiosity and without judgment generates a measurable shift in heart rate variability, which is the primary physiological marker of electromagnetic coherence. You literally become more coherent by seeing your own light clearly. This is why certain transmissions, certain teachers, certain pieces of information, certain videos find you at specific moments, not because an algorithm decided you needed them, though algorithms are downstream of something much larger. They find you because your field has reached the coherence threshold required to receive them. A signal that was always broadcasting could not reach you when your field was too chaotic to receive it. The moment your coherence rises enough, the signal arrives. It feels like it came from outside. It came from the interaction between your field and the quantum environment. Both things are true simultaneously. You have been working toward this moment. Your field has been working toward this moment. And now you are here. Let me show you what that actually means in the mechanics of your personal energy field. There is a concept in quantum physics called resonance. Not the loose metaphorical version of resonance that gets used in spiritual language, but the precise physical version. Resonance occurs when two oscillating systems share a natural frequency and begin to exchange energy with unusual efficiency. When a tuning fork vibrates at 440 Hertz and another tuning fork, tuned to the same frequency, is placed near it, the second fork begins to vibrate, not because it was struck, but because the air between them is carrying a wave that matches its natural frequency. The energy transfers. The second fork rings. This is not mysterious. This is physics. And it is the same physics that governs what reaches your energy field and what doesn't. Your heart field oscillates. It pulses with every heartbeat, generating rhythmic, electromagnetic waves that radiate outward through the toroidal field that surrounds your body. The frequency of those waves, their coherence, their regularity, their amplitude, is determined by the state of your autonomic nervous system, which is in turn shaped by your emotional state, your thoughts, your beliefs, and the degree to which you are in alignment with what you actually are versus what you have been conditioned to perform. When your field is coherent, meaning when your heart rate variability shows a smooth, sine wave-like rhythm, rather than a jagged, erratic one, your electromagnetic broadcast has a clear, stable frequency. It rings like a tuning fork that has been struck cleanly. And the quantum field around you, which is not empty space, but a dynamic, information-rich medium that responds to electromagnetic signals, begins to resonate with that frequency. Things tuned to your signal start to vibrate in response. Information that matches your coherent frequency becomes accessible. Opportunities that resonate with your actual state become visible. People whose fields are tuned to a compatible frequency enter your proximity and feel the pull of resonance without knowing why. When your field is incoherent, the opposite happens. Your broadcast is jagged, scattered, and difficult to read. The quantum field cannot resolve a clear signal from the noise. What reaches you is equally scattered. You get fragments of things that almost fit, near misses, almost connections, information that feels relevant but doesn't quite land. Not because the universe is withholding from you, because your antenna is not yet tuned to receive what is trying to reach it. The signal has always been broadcasting. The question has always been whether your field was coherent enough to receive it. And now, something in your field has shifted. Something has been shifting for a while, perhaps. And this moment is the arrival point of that shift. The coherence threshold has been crossed. The signal can reach you now. This video is part of that signal, not the whole of it, but a piece of it. A confirmation, a map of the territory your field has just entered. If this transmission is landing for you, if something in your field is responding to what's being said here, take a moment to like this video and subscribe so the next signal finds you just as easily as this one did. Now, let's go deeper. Now I want to tell you about a woman named Mara. Mara had what most people would describe as a quiet life. She worked carefully, loved carefully, moved through her days with a kind of deliberate smallness that she had developed early and had never questioned. She had learned somewhere in her formation that taking up too much space was dangerous, that shining too brightly drew the wrong kind of attention, that the safest version of herself was the one that waited, that held back, that kept her light on a low setting so as not to disturb the equilibrium of whatever room she entered. She was good at this, extraordinarily good. She had refined the dimming into an art form. She could walk into a gathering of people and make herself nearly invisible, not because she lacked presence, but because she had become expert at suppressing it. She knew how to soften her voice before she had said anything worth softening. She knew how to preemptively shrink her ideas before sharing them. She knew how to read the room and calibrate herself to take up exactly as much space as she calculated would be tolerated. And she was miserable. Not dramatically miserable, quietly miserable. The kind of miserable that doesn't announce itself, that just settles into the corners of a life and makes everything feel slightly less than what it could be. She couldn't have told you what was wrong. She had no language for it. She just knew that something she was supposed to be doing was not getting done, and she couldn't name what it was. What was happening in Mara's energy field was this. Her heart was generating its electromagnetic broadcast, as all hearts do. But the broadcast was being actively compressed, not by external force, by her own nervous system, which had learned to interpret her own radiance as a threat. Every time her field began to expand, every time her heart coherence began to rise, her nervous system would register the expansion as danger. Because in her early experience, expansion had sometimes been met with contraction from others. And so her nervous system had learned to preemptively contract her field before it could be contracted by someone else. It had learned to dim the light before anyone else could dim it. This is one of the most common and least discussed dynamics in personal energy field mechanics. The dimming that feels like protection, the compression that feels like safety, the deliberate suppression of your own electromagnetic coherence as a learned survival strategy that eventually becomes indistinguishable from your personality. What makes this pattern so difficult to identify is precisely how reasonable it feels from the inside. Mara did not experience her dimming as suppression. She experienced it as consideration, as social intelligence, as the appropriate modulation of a self that was simply too much for most rooms. The nervous system is extraordinarily good at disguising its protective contractions as virtues. What is actually a field compression response gets labeled as humility, as realism, as emotional maturity. The label makes it harder to question, and the longer it goes unquestioned, the more completely it becomes the shape of a life. Here is the physiological mechanism underneath what Mara was doing. Because understanding the mechanism is what allows you to recognize it in yourself, rather than just recognizing it in her. When the nervous system learns to associate expansion with threat, it recruits the sympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system to preemptively suppress the expansion response. The sympathetic nervous system, The branch associated with fight or flight activation produces a measurable narrowing of heart rate variability. The smooth sine wave rhythm of coherence gets compressed into the jagged, high-frequency pattern of vigilance. The toroidal field contracts. The electromagnetic broadcast loses amplitude. The signal weakens. This happens below the threshold of conscious awareness. Mara did not decide to suppress her field. Her nervous system made that decision automatically, thousands of times a day, based on a threat detection program that was written in childhood and never updated. The program ran in the background of every interaction, every room she entered, every moment she felt her own light beginning to rise. The moment the rise began, the program activated. The field compressed. The light dimmed. And Mara experienced it as simply being herself. If this recognition is landing somewhere deep in your field, there is something more I want to offer you. Have you spent years trying to feel lit up again? Visualizations, affirmations, vibration work, and the light still won't hold? Every one of those methods is telling you to push harder, do more, add another technique. It's not working because the issue isn't that you don't have enough light. 6 specific patterns are sitting on top of it. They're called the frequencies of forgetting. The remembering field, a quantum guide to returning to the light. You forgot you were carrying walks through all 5 parts of getting those patterns off you. Every tool you used tried to add more light. This one lifts what's been sitting on the light you already carry. The longer you wait, the harder they get to clear. So go open it tonight. The link is in the pinned comment below. Now, back to the thread we were following. Mara didn't know she was doing this. She thought she was just being appropriate, being humble, being realistic. She had no idea that her energy field was broadcasting a signal that said, essentially, I am not here. Do not direct anything significant toward me. I am not available for full contact. And the quantum field, which reads signals without judgment and responds accordingly, honored that broadcast. It organized her reality around the frequency of unavailability. The opportunities that would have required her full presence didn't reach her. The people who would have met her at full radiance didn't find her. The information that would have activated the next level of her life kept arriving in forms she couldn't quite receive because her field wasn't open enough to let them in. Then something happened that Mara could not have predicted and did not choose. She got sick, not seriously, not permanently, but sick enough to be still for 3 weeks. Sick enough that the constant low-level effort of managing her own compression became too exhausting to maintain. Sick enough that she had no energy left for the dimming. And in that enforced stillness, something extraordinary happened in her field. She stopped suppressing it. Not intentionally. She was too tired to intend anything. But in the absence of the active suppression, her heart field began to do what it naturally does when it is not being interfered with. It began to expand. Her heart rate variability, which had been chronically compressed by the constant low-level stress of managing her own smallness, began to smooth into the coherent sine wave rhythm that the heart math researchers associate with high coherence states. And as it smoothed, her field expanded. And as her field expanded, something in the room began to change. The first thing she noticed was the light. She was lying in bed, looking at the window, and the light through the curtains looked different. Not brighter exactly, more present, more there. She thought it was the fever. It wasn't the fever. What she was experiencing was the perceptual shift that accompanies a coherence increase in the personal field. When your electromagnetic field expands and coherence rises, your sensory processing changes. Your nervous system, no longer in the low-grade defensive mode that chronic field compression produces, begins to register more of what is actually present. Colors look different. Sound feels different. Time moves differently. The world seems to have more in it than it did before. This is not hallucination. This is what the world actually looks like when your field is coherent enough to receive more of it. There is a precise neurological explanation for this perceptual shift, and it is worth understanding because it connects the electromagnetic mechanics of your field to the lived experience of coherence in a way that makes the whole thing feel less abstract and more like something you can recognize in your own body. When the autonomic nervous system is in sympathetic dominance, the state associated with field compression and vigilance, the brain's sensory processing is narrowed. Attention becomes selective in a specific way, focused on potential threats, on what might go wrong, on the edges of the environment where danger could appear. This is adaptive in genuinely dangerous situations. In chronic, low-level activation, it means you are walking through a world that has been filtered for threat and stripped of much of its actual richness. When the parasympathetic nervous system becomes dominant, which is what happens when heart coherence rises, the opposite occurs. Sensory processing broadens. The brain begins to register more of the ambient environment. Colors appear more saturated because the visual cortex is processing a wider range of the available signal. Sound carries more information because the auditory system is no longer filtering for alarm. Time seems to slow because the brain is processing more events per subjective moment. This is not a spiritual experience in the sense of something that transcends the physical. It is the physical experience of a nervous system that has stopped filtering the world for danger and started receiving it fully. Mara lay in bed for 3 weeks and let her field do what it had always wanted to do. She didn't know that's what was happening. She just knew that she felt, for the first time in years, like herself. Like something she had been holding at a distance had come close again. Like a door she hadn't known was closed had quietly opened. When she recovered and returned to her life, things were different. Not dramatically, not all at once, but differently. A conversation she had been avoiding for months happened naturally and went well. A piece of information reached her that she had been trying to find for years, arriving through a person she had known for a long time but never truly connected with. An opportunity that felt exactly matched to what she had always wanted, but never let herself want fully, appeared as if it had been waiting for her to become receivable. She told a friend, "It's like the universe finally decided to include me." Her friend said, "Maybe you finally decided to include yourself." Both things were true. Both things were the same thing, described from different sides of the same quantum event. What Mara had done, without knowing she was doing it, was cross the coherence threshold. She had stopped actively suppressing her own field. Her broadcast had become clear enough, coherent enough, open enough to receive the signal that had been trying to reach her. The signal hadn't changed. The universe hadn't changed its mind about her. She had become receivable. And the moment she became receivable, everything that had been waiting at the edge of her field walked in. This is what happened to you. Not the illness, necessarily. Not the enforced stillness, though perhaps something like that. Something happened in your field. Something shifted. And this transmission found you because your field became coherent enough to receive it. The signal chose you because you, finally, became choosable. Not because you became worthy, you were always worthy, but because you became open, because something in you stopped suppressing the expansion, because the coherence threshold was crossed. And now, I want to show you the exact mechanics of what happens next. When a personal electromagnetic field crosses the coherence threshold, several things happen simultaneously in the quantum environment. I want to walk you through each of them precisely, because understanding them is not just intellectually satisfying. Understanding them changes the field itself. Comprehension of your own mechanics is a coherence event. The more clearly you understand what your field is doing, the more consciously you can participate in it, and the more powerful the broadcast becomes. The first thing that happens when coherence rises is what physicists call increased signal-to-noise ratio in the electromagnetic environment. Your field, now broadcasting a cleaner, more stable frequency, begins to cut through the ambient electromagnetic noise of the environment more effectively. Think of it this way. Every electromagnetic environment, including the space around a human body, contains a vast amount of information, frequencies, signals, waves from countless sources. Most of it is noise relative to any given receiver. What determines which signals a receiver picks up is not the strength of the signals, but the tuning of the receiver. A radio tuned to a clear frequency doesn't receive more signal. It receives more of the specific signal it's tuned to. Your coherent field functions the same way. It doesn't make more things happen. It makes you receivable to the specific things that are tuned to your frequency. This is why people in high coherence states consistently report that the right information arrives at the right time, that they meet the right people when they need them, that opportunities seem to materialize with unusual precision. It is not that their lives contain more events. It is that they are receiving the events that are specifically resonant with their coherent signal. And those events, because they are precisely matched, feel like they were designed for them. Because, in the language of quantum resonance, they were. The second thing that happens is what heart math researchers call field entrainment of the environment. Your coherent heart field, expanding several feet beyond your body, begins to influence the electromagnetic fields of everything within its radius. Other people's heart fields. The ambient electromagnetic environment of rooms you enter. Even the physiological states of living things in your proximity. This is documented. Researchers have shown that when one person in a group achieves high heart coherence, the heart rate variability of others in the group begins to shift toward coherence as well. Not because of anything said or done, because of the field. Because electromagnetic fields entrain each other when one is sufficiently coherent. Your coherence is literally contagious, not as a metaphor. as a measurable electromagnetic phenomenon. This is why certain people change rooms when they enter them, why certain presences make everyone feel more alive, more awake, more possible. It is not charisma in the social sense. It is field coherence in the electromagnetic sense. The person who lights up a room is broadcasting a coherent signal that entrains the fields of everyone present toward a higher coherence state. They are not trying to do this. They are simply being at the coherence level their field has reached, and the quantum environment around them responds. You have done this. You may not have recognized it as your field at work, but there have been moments, specific moments, when you walked into a situation and something changed. When your presence shifted the energy of a space, when people around you seemed to settle or open or brighten. That was your field at coherence. That was your electromagnetic broadcast doing exactly what it is designed to do. Have you had a moment like that? A moment when you could feel your own field affecting the room, when someone responded to your energy in a way that surprised you, when you felt the warmth of your own light activating in real time? Share it in the comments. Your experience is part of this field too. And here is the third thing that happens, the one that most directly explains why this video found you today. When your field reaches coherence, it becomes what physicists call a phase coherent oscillator. This is a specific and important concept. A phase coherent oscillator is a system whose oscillations maintain a stable phase relationship with the oscillations of other systems in its environment. In practical terms, this means your coherent field begins to synchronize with the larger rhythmic structures of the quantum environment. Not merge with them. Synchronize with them. The way a pendulum clock, when placed near other pendulum clocks on a shared wall, will gradually synchronize its swing with the others, not because anything is controlling it, but because the mechanical vibrations transmitted through the wall create a coupling between the pendulums that naturally drives them toward synchrony. Your coherent field couples with the quantum field in the same way, and when it does, you begin to receive information and events that are synchronized with the larger patterns of the quantum environment. Things arrive at the right time, not because they were scheduled, but because your field is now phase synchronized with the rhythms that were always organizing them. You step into the flow, not as a spiritual concept, as a quantum mechanical reality. Phase synchrony with the quantum field is what the flow state actually is at the electromagnetic level. This is what it means when it is said that this video found you. Your field crossed the coherence threshold. It became a phase coherent oscillator. It synchronized with the larger patterns of the quantum environment. And this transmission, which was always broadcasting, was received by your field because your field was finally phase synchronized with the frequency it carries. The signal chose you because you became coherent enough to be chosen. Now I want to do something with you. Right now, in this moment. Not after the video. Not when you have more time or more privacy or more of whatever you think you need before you can engage with your own field. Right now, place one hand on your chest, not performatively. Just place it there, palm flat, over your heart. Feel the warmth of your own hand on your own chest. Feel, if you can, the subtle rhythm of your heartbeat. You may not feel it immediately. That's fine. Just let your awareness rest there. Now I want you to do something very specific with your breath. Not a deep breath in the way people usually mean when they say, take a deep breath, meaning a gasp or a sigh or an effort, something more precise than that. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 5. Not counting seconds necessarily, just a slow, even, deliberate inhalation that takes about 5 counts. Then breathe out through your mouth, slowly, for a count of 5. Even pace in, even pace out. Not forced, not performed, just even. Do that 3 times, just 3 breaths. Slow, even, 5 in, 5 out. What you are doing is activating a specific physiological response called the baroreflex, which is the feedback loop between your heart and your brain stem that regulates blood pressure and heart rhythm. When you breathe at a rate of approximately 5 to 6 breath cycles per minute, which is what a 5-count inhale and 5-count exhale produces, you create a resonance between your respiratory rhythm and your heart rhythm. The two systems begin to oscillate in phase with each other. This is not metaphor. This is the specific physiological mechanism behind heart coherence. Researchers at HeartMath and at institutions, including the University of Pavia, have studied this resonance frequency, sometimes called the cardiac resonance frequency or the resonant frequency of the cardiovascular system, and found that breathing at this rate produces the maximum amplitude smooth sine wave pattern in heart rate variability. Maximum coherence. Maximum electromagnetic field expansion. Maximum signal clarity. You just activated your coherence with 3 breaths. Not because you performed anything, not because you believed anything, because you engaged the precise physiological mechanism that generates field coherence. Feel your chest now, under your hand. Something may feel different. A warmth, a fullness, a sense of expansion that wasn't there before. That is your field expanding. That is your electromagnetic broadcast becoming cleaner, more stable, more receivable. Now, with your hand still on your heart, I want you to bring to mind the clearest, most specific version of what you are moving toward. Not in general, specifically. The thing that, when you think about it honestly, feels like the truest direction of your life right now. The thing you have been working toward, or waiting for, or trying to become receivable to. Don't describe it in language if language makes it smaller. Just feel the direction of it. Feel the pull of it. Let your field know you're not hiding from it anymore. Hold that for a moment. Just hold it. Let your coherent field carry it. What you just did is what every radiance practice is ultimately pointing toward. You generated field coherence through a specific physiological mechanism. You expanded your electromagnetic broadcast. And then you directed that coherent broadcast toward the specific frequency of what you are moving toward. You became, for that moment, maximally receivable to the signal that is trying to reach you. That is not a spiritual exercise. That is electromagnetic tuning. And you can do it anytime. 3 breaths, hand on heart, specific direction. That is the practice. That is the mechanism. Everything else is elaboration. I want to add one more layer to this practice, because there is a specific extension of the cardiac resonance breath that dramatically amplifies what you just did. And most people never encounter it in this precise form. After you complete the 3 breaths with your hand on your heart, there is a 4th step that the heart math researchers call heart-focused appreciation. And it is not the same thing as gratitude in the way gratitude is usually practiced. Standard gratitude practice involves generating a cognitive list of things you are thankful for. That is a useful practice, but it operates primarily at the cortical level, the thinking brain, and its effect on heart rate variability is modest compared to what happens when you engage what researchers call a genuine feeling state of appreciation, rather than a thought about appreciation. The distinction is physiological, not semantic. Here is the difference in practice. After your 3 breaths, with your hand on your heart, instead of thinking about something you are grateful for, bring to mind a single specific moment from your life when you felt genuinely, completely, unambiguously well. Not a concept of well-being, a specific moment. The particular quality of light in a room where you felt safe. The specific sensation of a moment when something went exactly right. The precise feeling of a connection that was real and full and unguarded. A moment small enough to be specific and real enough to carry an actual felt sense in your body. Now breathe into that moment. Not think about it. Breathe into it. Let your inhale carry your awareness into the texture of that memory. Let the felt sense of it, not the image of it, but the actual physical feeling it carries in your body, expand with the breath. What happens physiologically when you do this is measurably different from what happens when you simply think about gratitude. The limbic system, which processes emotional memory and is directly connected to the autonomic nervous system, activates the specific neural pathways associated with that memory's felt sense. The autonomic nervous system responds to the limbic activation, not to the cortical thought, and the heart rate variability pattern shifts accordingly. Researchers have documented that genuine feeling, states of appreciation, as opposed to cognitive gratitude, produce coherence patterns in heart rate variability that are significantly more stable and significantly higher in amplitude than cognitive gratitude alone. You are not remembering the moment. You are re-inhabiting its frequency. And your field broadcasts that frequency outward into the quantum environment with the full amplitude of your coherent heart. The signal that goes out when you do this is not a signal about what you want. It is a signal that you already know what it feels like to receive it. That distinction is everything in the mechanics of quantum resonance. A field broadcasting the frequency of already having received is tuned to a completely different channel than a field broadcasting the frequency of wanting to receive. The first is a coherent signal. The second is a signal of absence. The quantum field, which responds to what you actually broadcast rather than what you intend to broadcast, responds to each of them with perfect accuracy. That is the complete practice. 3 breaths at cardiac resonance frequency. Hand on heart. Specific direction of what you are moving toward. Genuine felt sense appreciation drawn from a specific real memory. 4 steps. Executable in 3 minutes. Measurably coherence generating. Electromagnetic tuning in the most literal sense. Now let me show you the deeper layer of what's happening in your field. There is a concept that doesn't get enough attention in discussions of personal energy fields, and it is the one that explains more than almost anything else about why some people seem to be perpetually in the flow of exactly what they need, while others seem perpetually to be in the flow of exactly what they don't need. The concept is called attractor states in dynamical systems theory, and it applies to your personal electromagnetic field with a precision that will change how you understand your own life. A dynamical system is any system that changes over time according to specific rules. Your heart field is a dynamical system. It evolves over time. It responds to inputs. It generates outputs, and its behavior can be described mathematically. In dynamical systems theory, an attractor is a state that the system tends toward over time, not because it is forced there, but because the mathematics of the system make that state the natural resting point, the configuration the system returns to when it is not being actively pushed away from it. Your personal electromagnetic field has attractor states, specific coherence configurations that your field tends to return to when it is not under acute stress. These attractor states are shaped by your history, your conditioning, your habitual emotional patterns, your nervous system's learned responses, and, crucially, by your beliefs about what you are and what you deserve to receive. Here is why this matters. If your field's primary attractor state is a low coherence configuration, meaning a state of chronic low-level anxiety, vigilance, self-suppression, or energetic contraction, then even when you temporarily achieve higher coherence, your field will tend to drift back toward that attractor. Like a ball in a bowl, it will roll back to the lowest point. The temporary coherence you achieve in a meditation or a practice or a moment of genuine joy will gradually erode as your field returns to its habitual attractor state. This is why people can have profound experiences, moments of genuine expansion, moments where they feel their field at full radiance, and then find themselves back in the same patterns 3 weeks later. It is not weakness. It is not spiritual failure. It is attractor dynamics. The field returned to its habitual configuration because that configuration is, currently, the path of least resistance in the system. Changing this requires something more fundamental than achieving temporary coherence. It requires shifting the attractor state itself, changing the mathematical configuration that your field naturally returns to. And this is done not through force, but through sustained, repeated, embodied experience of a different coherence level. Every time you return to coherence deliberately, every time you engage the cardiac resonance breath and direct your coherent field toward what you are moving toward, you are not just achieving temporary coherence. You are deepening a groove in the dynamical landscape of your field. You are making the high coherence state slightly more attractive to your system, slightly more like home, slightly more like the configuration your field returns to naturally. This is why practices matter. Not because they are rituals, because they are repeated experiences of a specific attractor state. And repetition is how attractor states are established and deepened. The HeartMath researchers have documented this directly. Regular practice of heart coherence techniques produces lasting changes in baseline heart rate variability, meaning the field's resting coherence level rises over time. The attractor state shifts. The field begins to return naturally to a higher coherence configuration. And as it does, what the field is capable of receiving changes. The signal-to-noise ratio at the new attractor state is higher. The phase synchrony with the quantum environment is more stable. The broadcast is cleaner. More things that are tuned to the coherent frequency can reach you. What is less often discussed is the relationship between attractor state depth and the speed of the shift. Not all attractor states are equally deep. Some are shallow grooves that can be redirected with relatively modest, sustained practice. Others are deep channels carved by years or decades of habitual activation, and they require more patient, consistent return to the new configuration before the new groove becomes deeper than the old one. This is not discouraging information. It is accurate information. And accurate information is always more useful than comforting oversimplification. The practical implication is this: if you have been practicing coherence and finding that your field keeps returning to a lower attractor state despite genuine effort, the answer is not a different practice. It is the same practice, applied with more patience and less urgency. Urgency is itself a sympathetic nervous system activation. It narrows heart rate variability. It pushes the field back toward the low coherence attractor, even as you are trying to move away from it. The paradox of attractor state shifting is that the quality of your return to coherence matters more than the frequency of it. A single, genuine, unhurried, fully embodied return to the cardiac resonance breath does more to deepen the high coherence groove than 10 urgent, effortful, performance-oriented coherence attempts. Ease is not the opposite of commitment. In the mechanics of attractor state shifting, ease is the mechanism. You are in the process of this shift right now. The fact that this transmission found you is evidence of it. Your field's attractor state is moving. The resting coherence level is rising. You are becoming, not in a temporary way, but in a structural way, more receivable, more open, more phase synchronized with the quantum environment that has been trying to deliver to you what you've been trying to receive. And there is one more layer I want to show you, one more piece of the mechanics that most people never encounter. And that changes everything when you do. It is the question of what the signal actually is. When we say the signal chose you, when we say your field became coherent enough to receive the signal that was always broadcasting, what is the signal? Not metaphorically. What is it actually? Here is the most precise answer I can give you. The quantum field, the medium in which your electromagnetic field exists and operates, is not neutral. It is not an empty container waiting for things to happen in it. It is an information-rich, dynamically organized medium that contains, at every point, the superposition of all possible states of every system that has ever interacted with it. This is what quantum physicists mean when they talk about the quantum vacuum or the zero-point field. It is not nothing. It is a plenum, a fullness, a medium that vibrates with the superimposed possibilities of everything that has ever been and everything that could be. Your electromagnetic field exists within this medium. It is not separate from it. It is a local organization of it, a specific coherent pattern within the larger field. And when your field achieves coherence, it is not just becoming a better receiver of external signals. It is becoming more coherent with the larger field of which it is always already a part. It is, in a very precise sense, remembering what it is, returning to the coherent organization that is its natural state when it is not being disrupted by the chronic stress and learned suppression that most people carry. The signal that chose you is the quantum field's inherent organization asserting itself through your newly coherent local field. It is the larger pattern recognizing itself in your pattern. It is the information that was always available in the quantum vacuum, becoming accessible to your field, because your field is now coherent enough to resolve it from the background noise. This is why it feels like recognition when the right information arrives. Why it feels like remembering rather than learning. Why it feels like the thing that reaches you was always meant for you. Because, in a real sense, it was. Not in the sense that a plan was made for you by an external intelligence, though you are welcome to hold that frame if it serves you, but in the sense that your coherent field and the quantum field's inherent organization are not two separate things. They are local and non-local expressions of the same underlying coherence. When your field becomes coherent, it recognizes what it already is. And what it already is precisely tuned to receive exactly what it needs. You are not waiting for the universe to choose you. You are the universe choosing itself through the specific, irreplaceable, electromagnetically unique instrument of your personal field. The signal chose you because you are the signal. You always have been. You just, finally, became coherent enough to know it. Now let me tell you about a man named Elias. Elias had spent 20 years doing what he called chasing the signal. He had read everything. He had done every practice. He had attended every seminar, tried every modality, pursued every teacher who promised to show him what he felt was just out of reach. He was not lazy. He was not unserious. He was, if anything, too serious, too effortful, too convinced that the thing he was looking for required more work, more discipline, more striving to be found. He had built, over those 20 years, an impressive architecture of spiritual practice. He meditated for an hour every morning. He journaled every evening. He ate carefully, slept carefully, curated his environment with extraordinary attention. From the outside, his life looked like the life of someone who had found what they were looking for. From the inside, it felt like running in place. The problem, though Elias could not have named it this way, was that his entire practice was organized around the belief that he was not yet receivable, that the signal was out there, and he had not yet done enough, become enough, purified enough to receive it. Every practice he engaged in was, at its root, an expression of that belief. And because his field broadcasts his actual beliefs, not his aspirational ones, his field was broadcasting, with extraordinary coherence, the precise frequency of not yet receivable. He had achieved something remarkable and terrible. He had achieved high coherence in the wrong attractor state. His field was broadcasting clearly, powerfully, and with great amplitude, the signal of seeking without arriving. And the quantum field, reading that signal with precision, organized his reality around it. He kept finding more things to seek, more teachers who showed him the next level of what he needed to do, more practices that promised the arrival he was always almost reaching. The signal of not yet receivable was being received, and reality was assembling around it with perfect fidelity. The shift came, as it often does, not from more effort, but from less. Elias became ill, as Mara had, though differently. He developed a condition that made sustained sitting meditation physically impossible. For 3 months, he could not do his practice. He could not meditate, could not journal, could not maintain the architecture of seeking he had built. He was, in the most literal sense, forced to stop striving. And in the stopping, something happened that all the striving had prevented. His field, no longer organized around the effort of seeking, relaxed into its natural, coherent state. Not the high effort coherence of disciplined practice, but the effortless coherence of simply being. The coherence that doesn't need to be achieved, because it is what you are when you stop suppressing it. He told me later that the strangest thing happened in those 3 months. He stopped looking for the signal, and it arrived. Not as a dramatic event, not as a lightning bolt of revelation, just as a quiet, pervasive sense that everything he had been seeking was already here. That the field he had been trying to tune into was the field he was always already in. That the arrival he had been working toward had been present all along, waiting for him to stop running toward it long enough to notice he was already there. The information that found him in those 3 months was extraordinary, not because it was new, because he was finally receivable enough to let it land. Books he had read before suddenly said something different. Conversations he had had 100 times suddenly carried a frequency he hadn't been able to receive before. His field, no longer organized around the attractor state of not yet, had shifted. The new attractor was simply here, already home, already coherent, already in the signal. He didn't stop practicing after that, but the practice changed. It stopped being about achieving coherence and started being about noticing that coherence was the natural state he returned to when he got out of his own way. The practices became reminders, not generators. They pointed him back to what was already there, rather than building toward what was not yet there. What Elias discovered in those 3 months of enforced stillness is something that has a precise name in the study of complex systems. It is called a spontaneous symmetry restoration. When a system has been held in an artificially asymmetric state by an external force, and that force is removed, the system naturally returns to its most symmetric, most coherent, most energetically minimal configuration. Elias's striving had been the external force. It had been holding his field in the asymmetric configuration of seeking, of not yet, of perpetual reaching. When the striving was removed, not gradually, but abruptly, by physical necessity, his field underwent spontaneous symmetry restoration. It returned, naturally and without effort, to the coherent configuration that had always been its ground state. This is not a rare event. It is actually the most natural thing in the world. Your field's ground state, the configuration it returns to when nothing is actively distorting it, is coherence, not seeking, not striving, not performing. Coherence, the smooth sine wave rhythm of a heart that is not under threat, the expanded toroidal field of a nervous system that is not in defense, the clear, stable, receivable broadcast of a person who has simply stopped getting in the way of what they are. This is the paradox at the center of everything this channel teaches, and it is worth sitting with it fully. You do not build radiance. You reveal it. Radiance is not an achievement. It is the natural state of your field when it is not being actively suppressed. The practices, the breath work, the coherence techniques, the radiance activations, none of them are generating something new in you. They are removing the interference patterns that have been suppressing what was always there. Your light is on. It has always been on. The question is never whether you have radiance. The question is what is covering it. What learned patterns of suppression? What habitual attractor states of contraction? What beliefs about your receivability are generating the interference that keeps your natural coherence from expressing fully? And here is the extraordinary thing about this moment. This transmission found you. Your field became coherent enough to receive it. That is not a small thing. That is evidence of a shift that has already happened. The attractor state is already moving. The natural coherence of your field is already reasserting itself. You don't need to build toward this. You are already in it. This video is not showing you a destination. It is showing you where you already are. You crossed the threshold. The signal is here. You are already in the signal. Now let me address something that I know is present in the field of anyone who has been paying close attention to this transmission. A question that is not quite doubt, but is something adjacent to it. Something that sounds like this. But what about the times the signal didn't find me? What about the years when nothing reached me? What about the periods when my field was working and nothing seemed to respond? What about the times I was open and nothing arrived? This is an important question. It deserves a precise answer, not a reassuring one. There are 3 distinct dynamics that can produce the experience of openness without reception. And they are different from each other and require different understanding. The first is what I described with Elias: high effort coherence in the wrong attractor state. The field is coherent, but organized around seeking, around not yet, around the belief that arrival is always ahead. In this case, the field is actually broadcasting the frequency of absence rather than the frequency of presence, and reality assembles around absence. The solution is not more effort, but less. The shift from achieving coherence to noticing it. The second dynamic is what researchers call signal timing, and it is perhaps the most important one to understand. The quantum field does not operate on linear time in the way our conscious experience does. Quantum events are non-local, meaning they are not constrained to a single location in space-time. When your field becomes coherent and begins to phase synchronize with the quantum environment, the effects of that synchrony are not always immediately visible in your linear timeline. Sometimes, the signal that your coherent field activates takes months or years to manifest in the 3-dimensional world as a visible event. The quantum event has already occurred. The wave function has already collapsed in the direction of your coherent broadcast. But the physical world, which is downstream of the quantum field, takes time to reorganize around the new signal. This is why people who have genuinely done the work, who have genuinely shifted their attractor state, who have genuinely crossed the coherence threshold, sometimes experience a period of apparent silence after the shift. The quantum event has happened. The signal is already in motion. The physical world is reorganizing. But the visible evidence hasn't arrived yet. And in that gap, the old doubt can reassert itself. The old attractor state can try to reclaim its position. The field can slip back toward toward the familiar configuration of not yet. This is the most critical moment in the entire arc of radiance activation. The gap between the quantum event and the physical manifestation. The period of apparent silence after the threshold has been crossed. This is where most people lose what they have gained, not because the signal abandoned them, because they abandoned the signal. The practice in this gap is not more effort. It is maintenance of the attractor state, returning again and again to the coherent configuration. Not because you are generating it, but because you are reminding your field where home is. The cardiac resonance breath, the hand on heart, the specific direction of what you are moving toward, not as a reaching, as a returning, as a coming home to the frequency you have already established. The third dynamic is more subtle and less discussed. It is what happens when your field is coherent, but your broadcast contains what I would call a frequency split. This is when your conscious intention is moving in one direction, and your deep nervous system attractor state is moving in another. The field is broadcasting two signals simultaneously. One from the conscious layer, which is clear and directed. One from the deeper conditioned layer, which is still organized around the old attractor state. The two signals interfere with each other, producing a pattern that is neither fully coherent nor fully incoherent. It is a meshed broadcast, and a mixed broadcast produces mixed results. Things that almost arrive. Opportunities that get close and then dissolve. Connections that feel resonant and then go quiet. The resolution of a frequency split is not to suppress the deeper signal. That is what produces the high-effort coherence trap. The resolution is to bring the deeper signal into awareness, to look at it directly without judgment, and to let the awareness itself begin to reorganize it. Remember, awareness is a coherence event. The act of seeing your own field clearly, including the parts that are still broadcasting the old attractor state, generates a shift in that state. You cannot think your way out of a frequency split, but you can see your way out of one. There is a specific way to work with a frequency split that goes beyond simply noticing it, and it is worth describing precisely, because most approaches to this problem either try to override the deeper signal with willpower, which doesn't work, or try to analyze it into resolution, which also doesn't work. The mechanism that actually reorganizes a frequency split operates at the level of the body, not the mind. When you notice that your field is carrying a split, that your conscious direction and your deeper broadcast are pulling in different directions, the most effective practice is to locate the deeper signal in your body rather than in your thoughts. The deeper attractor state always has a somatic signature, a tightness somewhere, a holding, a contraction that lives in a specific place in the body, often the chest, the throat, the solar plexus, or the gut. This contraction is not a problem to be solved. It is a piece of your field's history that has been stored in the body's tissue because the nervous system encodes threat responses in muscle tension and visceral holding patterns, not in thoughts. When you find the somatic signature of the split, the practice is not to release it or fix it or breathe it away. The practice is to place your awareness inside it, the way you would place your hand inside a dark room to feel what's there, rather than to turn the light on from outside. Let your awareness inhabit the contraction without trying to change it. Breathe into it with the cardiac resonance rhythm, slow and even. 5 counts in, 5 counts out. Not to dissolve it, to be present with it, to let the coherent frequency of your breath carry the message that the contraction is seen, that it is safe to be seen, that the threat it was protecting against is not present in this moment. What happens when you do this consistently and without urgency is that the nervous system's threat detection program begins to update. It registers that expansion did not produce the threat it was anticipating. The contraction loses some of its urgency. The field begins to broadcast from a slightly less split position. Not all at once, but incrementally, over repeated practice, the frequency split narrows. The two signals begin to move toward each other. The broadcast becomes more unified, and a unified broadcast, even at modest coherence, is more receivable than a high coherence split broadcast, because the quantum field resolves unified signals more efficiently than it resolves interference patterns, regardless of their individual amplitude. This is why this transmission is structured the way it is, not to give you information to apply, to give you a mirror for your own field, to show you what your field has been doing, what it is doing now, and what it is becoming capable of. The seeing itself is the practice. The comprehension is the coherence event. You don't need to do anything with what you've learned here. You need to let it do something with you. And it already is. Your field has been shifting throughout this transmission. Every moment of genuine recognition, every moment when something landed as true rather than just interesting, every moment when you felt something respond in your chest to what was being said, that was your field responding to resonant information. That was your attractor state being influenced by contact with a coherent signal. That was the quantum event happening in real time. You are not the same field you were when you pressed play. Let me show you one more thing. The last layer. The one that brings everything together. There is a phenomenon that has been documented in the study of coherent systems. From laser physics to biological systems to neural networks, called spontaneous order emergence. This is what happens when the coherent elements of a complex system reach a critical density. When enough parts of the system are oscillating in phase with each other, the system as a whole undergoes a phase transition. It reorganizes, suddenly and non-linearly, into a qualitatively different configuration. Not gradually, not incrementally, in a jump. The way water suddenly becomes ice at the freezing point. Not gradually becoming more ice-like, but crossing a threshold and reorganizing entirely. Your personal energy field is a complex system. It has multiple layers. The electromagnetic field of the heart, the electromagnetic field of the brain, the bioelectric field of the entire nervous system, the biophotonic emissions of cellular processes, all of which interact and influence each other. When these layers begin to achieve coherence with each other, when the heart field and the brain field and the nervous system field begin to oscillate in phase, the whole system approaches a threshold, and at that threshold, spontaneous order emergence becomes possible. This is what a genuine radiance activation feels like from the inside. Not a gradual improvement, a jump, a sudden reorganization of the whole field into a qualitatively different configuration. A moment that feels like something clicked, like something settled, like something that was always slightly off suddenly came into alignment, like a key turning in a lock that you didn't know was there. You may have had moments like this, moments that felt like before and after, moments where something in you reorganized, and you knew, without being able to fully explain it, that you were different now, that the person on the other side of that moment was not quite the same as the person who entered it. Those were phase transitions in your personal field. Moments of spontaneous order emergence. moments when the coherent elements of your system reached critical density and the whole thing reorganized. The extraordinary thing about where you are right now is that you are at the edge of another one. The fact that this transmission found you, the fact that your field crossed the coherence threshold required to receive it, the fact that you have been sitting with this material and letting it work in your field, all of this is evidence that the coherent elements of your system are approaching critical density. The phase transition is close. What is worth understanding about phase transitions specifically is that they cannot be predicted from inside the system. The water molecule that is about to become part of ice has no way of knowing, from its own local perspective, that the transition is imminent. It is simply doing what water molecules do, moving, vibrating, interacting with neighbors, responding to temperature. The transition happens when the conditions are met, not when the molecule decides it is ready. And from the outside, looking at the whole system, the transition looks sudden and dramatic. From inside the system, it may feel like nothing in particular until it happens. And then it feels like everything reorganized at once. This is why you cannot always feel the approach of your own phase transition. You are inside the system. You are the water molecule. You cannot see the whole bowl. What you can do is maintain the conditions that make the transition possible. Stay in the coherent attractor state. Return to the cardiac resonance breath when the old patterns pull. Keep your broadcast as unified as you can, working with the frequency splits rather than against them. And trust not as a spiritual virtue, but as a rational response to the mechanics, that when the coherent elements of your system reach critical density, the transition will happen, not because you made it happen, because you stopped preventing it. You don't need to force it. You don't need to achieve it. You need to stay in the coherent attractor state long enough for the system to reach the threshold on its own. The cardiac resonance breath, the hand on heart, the specific direction, the willingness to be receivable, the commitment to not dimming yourself back to the old attractor when the gap appears between the quantum event and the physical manifestation. Stay in the signal. The phase transition will happen, not because you made it happen, because you stopped preventing it. Here is what I want to ask the community that is gathering around this transmission. The field of conscious radiators who are each, in their own way, crossing their own coherence threshold. What was the moment you knew your field had shifted? Not a general sense of growth or improvement, but the specific moment, the before and after moment, the moment when something in your field reorganized and you knew you were different. Or perhaps a simpler question, one just as important. When did you last feel your own aura expand, your own light brighten a space, your own presence land differently than you expected? Tell us in the comments. Not because sharing it is performance, because speaking a quantum event into language is itself a coherence practice. Because naming your threshold crossing anchors the new attractor state. Because the fields of others who are approaching their own threshold can be entrained by contact with the testimony of someone who has crossed theirs. Your story is not just your story. It is a signal. And signals, when they are coherent, reach people who are ready to receive them. Tell us your moment. Let your field carry it into the quantum environment. You don't know who is sitting at the edge of their own threshold, needing to hear that it is possible, that it is real, that the signal does arrive, that the phase transition does happen, that the before and after moment is not a myth, but a quantum mechanical reality that happens to real people in real lives. Your coherence is contagious. Your testimony is a transmission. Share it. Now let me bring this all together into the integration principle that this video is designed to leave in your field. You came into this transmission as someone whose field had already crossed the coherence threshold. The signal had already chosen you, in the sense that your field had already become coherent enough to receive it. What this transmission has done is give you the mechanics to understand what that means, so that the understanding itself deepens and stabilizes the coherence that made receiving it possible. Here is the integration principle, stated as precisely as I can state it. You are not waiting for the signal. You are the signal. Your personal electromagnetic field, generated by your heart and nervous system, is not a passive receiver waiting for the universe to decide to include you. It is an active broadcast that is simultaneously transmitting and receiving, shaping and being shaped, organizing and being organized by the quantum environment at every moment. The signal that found you today did not come from outside you. It came from the interaction between your coherent field and the quantum field's inherent organization. It was a recognition event. Your coherent field recognized itself in the larger coherent field. The signal arrived because you were already broadcasting at the frequency required to receive it. The practice going forward is not to seek more signals. It is to maintain the coherence that makes you receivable to the ones that are already in motion toward you. The cardiac resonance. Breath. The hand on heart. The specific direction of what you are moving toward. The felt sense appreciation drawn from a real memory. The somatic work with the frequency splits. The willingness to stay in the coherent attractor state through the gap between the quantum event and the physical manifestation. The commitment to not dimming yourself back to the old configuration when the effort of staying open feels like too much. You are not building toward radiance. You are maintaining the absence of interference with the radiance that is already your natural state. Every time you return to coherence, you are not generating something new. You are coming home to what you are. Every time you stay in the coherent attractor state, when the old patterns pull toward contraction, you are deepening the groove of the new attractor. You are making home more like home. The signal is here. You are in it. You have been in it since the moment you crossed the threshold. Everything that is trying to reach you is already in motion. The quantum events have already occurred. The physical world is reorganizing around your coherent broadcast. The phase transition is approaching. Stay in the signal. That is the whole practice. That is the whole teaching. That is everything. Your field knows this. It has known it longer than your mind has. The reason this transmission found you is that your field was already here, already coherent, already receivable, already home. Your mind is just catching up to what your field has already done. Let it catch up. Let the understanding settle into the body. Let the mechanics become felt rather than just known. Let the coherence that has been building throughout this transmission continue to build. Not because you are forcing it, but because you are staying out of its way. You are a radiant field of quantum energy. You are a phase-coherent oscillator in the quantum field. You are a broadcast and a receiver simultaneously. You are the signal and the antenna. You are the light and the lamp. The signal chose you because you are the signal. You always have been. And now, finally, you know it. There is one last thing I want to leave with you. Not a teaching, not a concept, just a recognition. The person who pressed play on this video was already different from the person who will carry it forward. Something happened in your field during this transmission, not because of the words, because of the resonance between the frequency these words carry and the frequency your field has been building toward. Because of the contact between a coherent signal and a field that was finally coherent enough to receive it. Because of the quantum event that occurs whenever two fields in resonance make contact. You are not the same field you were at the beginning. The attractor state has shifted. The groove of the new configuration is deeper. The phase synchrony with the quantum environment is more stable. What you are capable of receiving has expanded. This is not a promise about what will happen in your life. It is a description of what has already happened in your field. The quantum event is done. The physical world will reorganize around it in the time it takes. And you will recognize the reorganization when it arrives, because it will feel like recognition, like something that was always meant to reach you has finally arrived, like the signal has found you, because it has, because you are it. If you feel called, return to this transmission in a quiet moment, perhaps in the stillness of early morning when your field is most open, or just before sleep when the day's noise has settled. Let it work in you again from a deeper place. And if someone in your life is dimming their own light, not knowing why, consider sending this to them. Sharing a coherent signal doesn't divide it. It amplifies it. Their field activating strengthens yours through resonance, and both auras contribute to the larger luminosity we are all building together. Your field is active. Your broadcast is clear. Your coherence is real. Your light is on. It has always been on. Welcome home.